And now, a word from
Infirmary Media.
Hey dudes and dudettes, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Be Kind and Rewind podcast, a podcast chock full of everything that is nostalgic about the 80s, 90s, and more, where we chat with our favorite celebrities about our nostalgic VHS days. I'm your host, Carlos. This episode, I'm joined by an excellent actress who we've seen in movies and television shows since the early 80s, like Murder, She Wrote, Matlock, Better Off Dead, and my personal favorite, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, along with many other roles. So I welcome actress, author, and producer Diane Franklin to the podcast.
Well, hello. It's very, very lovely for you to introduce me as Princess Joanna.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to hear one of your many accents that you're so talented to possess.
Thank you. I have a funny thing to tell you about Princess Joanna, which is hilarious to me. When I did Bill and Ted's, I was actually playing Princess Elizabeth.
No way. Yes way.
But someone in the credits got it wrong and wrote me as Princess Joanna. So when they did Bill and Ted's 2, you will find that Princess Elizabeth I'm back, the character's back to being Elizabeth. And
they switched it back?
They switched it back. And then now they're going to do a third Bill and Ted's. And it's called Bill and Ted's Face the Music. And they're going to do it next year. And I may be in it. So I'm not going to get into for sure, but it's a possibility.
Excellent.
And the funny thing is that I was talking to the writer and I said, well, I'm Princess Joanna in the first one. And he said, no, I would never put I would never put Ted with Joanna. I would put him with Elizabeth, and I thought that was hilarious because
I was gonna say, so what are they gonna list you at if you're in the movie?
I have a feeling. I mean, if it works out, I think I'll be Princess Elizabeth. So that'll be hilarious. I mean, that would be
well, fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed. The mystery will continue until we see it. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. People are definitely excited once the news has been kind of trickling out over the last few years. But we got a lot of news recently about pre-production and getting into actually filming. So that's the awesome part to hear.
It's gonna go. And I'll tell you something. I think it's very hard because once word gets out, people are so excited, and then it's hard because people, filmmakers do not want the word to get out too soon, because if something happens, then they're like, oh no, or maybe they wanted to try to get someone and they couldn't. And but I'm telling you, I really think it's going to go, and I have I've heard nothing but it's going to go, and I think it'll be awesome. It'll be totally excellent. Whether I'm in it or not, I have to say, it's a great film for the upcoming generation to watch. And if you haven't seen it at all, go watch Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. And I play the English princess, Keanu's girlfriend, and or Babe, or medieval princess Babe. And you'll love it. It's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Of course, and I've been enjoying it since its release back in '89, of course, and like you said, with the new one coming out, you guys have the best champion with it, with Keanu Reeves being, where he is in Hollywood now, and being he is full throttle into this. He wants this to happen just as much as everybody else, and so that really is helping along with this, I'm sure.
And he and Alex really want us to be in it. I know that there is a role, there is a part written for us, but I can't be presumptuous. The last time when they did Bill and Ted's 2, Kim and I really thought, the other princess, Kimberly Cates, we thought, we're going to be brought up again. We're going to be brought in, and the guys wanted us, but they had a different director, and the director wanted to go with other girls. And my assumption was that maybe they just didn't want the guys to be they didn't want it to be Bill and Ted and the princesses as a show. They wanted to be Bill and Ted, and they want to keep it not the princesses aren't, completely the princesses. They're not it's just about the guys. And I think that I understand it's a buddy movie, and, and I think, it's fine. I would just say I really, I know that it would be so much fun for us to be reunited, and I think it would be great for the audience. I think the audience really wants to see the princesses back, and it's sort of like a nod, So we're crossing our fingers. We're crossing our fingers.
The nostalgia, I think everybody, if they took a vote, the princesses from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure would win over on Bogus Journeys to bring you guys back for the Bill and Ted 3. No problems there. So so we're hoping to cross our fingers. Then we'll get to hopefully see you in an upcoming one. Or just do you have any information on like any potential release dates they're trying to do at all, or anything like that?
I don't know about any release date, but I do know that the story is with Bill and Ted obviously grown up and married and have kids. And I just think it's funny that it is really funny to think that Bill and Ted's grew up. I think that's just a great vision of like, well, what happens to those people? What happens to those kids that are like start off like that, and then like, how do they grow up? What kind of life do they have? So that I just think is really juicy, and I got some ideas. I found out a little bit from the script, and I can't say it, but I think the audience will not be disappointed. You're going to laugh, but the movie will probably focus on the next generation, of Bill and Ted's, the next little Bill and Ted. So whatever there is, so you'll see. But I just think it's really great that people remember the film. I think for me it was my biggest commercial hit, and I'm just honored to be associated and for people to remember me from that. It's just a lovely film and great comedy and great message. Be excellent to everyone. Be excellent to each other.
Of course. Everyone be excellent to each other. Yeah, of course. And it's definitely influential. I, as a young child watching this movie, influenced me to, play the guitar. And my cousins and I would always play air guitar to each other, in the middle, like randomly throughout the day. So people who didn't see the movie thought we were crazy.
Right.
Growing my hair out like Ted, to the point where the podcast, for a while, I had a YouTube review channel. It was called Circuits of Time Review, referencing the traveling through the circuits of time. And I would review each movie with a good and bad air guitar.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's so funny. Oh, that's so great.
Now, so now we moved on to this.
A princess approves, right?
Awesome, thank you so much. And then we moved on to Be Kind Rewind, and now we, the tagline at the end is the, like you said, be excellent to each other.
Yes.
So just
good.
Always incorporating Bill and Ted one way or another.
And we need that today. I mean, it's amazing that such, what I was talking to Ed Solomon, the writer, about. We've been texting each other, and just how, I mean, if you had said, do you think this movie would ever be remembered? We were like, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know, But the fact that has these simple words of wisdom throughout it, and it's brought in a comedic way, it's wonderful. It's awesome. And I have to say that I think I was so fortunate to work with Keanu on that film, because I think he was the cutest in that film. Like, he was the most endearing and lovable. Like, all the other things, Matrix, whatever, fine. Okay, he's got all that going on. But I got Bill and Ted, right? I mean, I've got, Ted, like the real, like, sweet, endearing guy, and I just loved his character. It was so adorable.
Oh, being the goofballs that they were, they're very, very relatable to many of us who maybe still have grown up as much as we thought we did. And so we're probably going to be very relatable again in this new one for those who haven't grown up as well, to see how Bill and Ted have adjusted to real life nowadays. So yeah, I'm excited. I know many people are excited, especially hearing what you're going to be talking about, or what you just talked about in regards to some things in the works and things that are already done and happening. So yeah, we're just waiting for those release dates, and so we can have a countdown at that point.
That would be great. And I have to say, I mean, as soon as I know, you can let me know. We can, if once it's
Beautiful.
A go, we can have another interview. And I just have to say, what is amazing to me is that I worked in the 80s so much, and I was like, most people recognize me as an 80s actress, which is totally fine with me. I love the 80s. And I think what is cool is that even though I wasn't in a lot of films, the films I am in are being brought back, and they're trying to redo them. And I mean, that's so amazing. I just think I would never in a million years have guessed that was a possibility.
Yeah, well, we got the continuation of Bill and Ted, and then of course there's just enough time, or in amount of time, I'm sure we're gonna get a Better Off Dead. But I want to talk about the first one that you were in. That we haven't seen a remake yet, but it might get one. The Last American Virgin.
Yes, and you know what's funny? Originally, for Virgin, Brett Ratner has had the rights years ago. And in fact, that was the first time I heard about any of the remakes of any of the films. Like, he wanted to do a contemporary version of that, which a lot of people are like, you could never make a new Last American Virgin. But I really believe that you can't make a remake of it, but you can make a contemporary version and of that film. And to me, like, that film, it doesn't go out of style. It was based on the director's life. It was a real story. I think it hits home, and I think it can happen at any time period. And I think that today, like, they could do it with like texting and sexting, and like they could put all that stuff in. And I mean, and it really, to me, it wasn't at the time when I did the film, I didn't see it, but as I got older and people, I watched the film a bunch of times, and I started like understanding it, and I looked at it from a whole, and I went, oh my gosh, this is sex education for guys. And there is, sex and love. Like, you watch that film, and you, as a guy, you're going to learn so much. And then as a girl, you're going to learn a lot too. But I don't know. I just think it's like a film that every guy should see. And not at 12 years old, like Brett Ratner, which is all these, and so many people, I saw that when I was 12 years old. I'm like, where was your mother? Like, what is going on? But it is really cool that, that film is there. It teaches you watch the film, and those of you who have not seen it, you will look at the film and you'll think, this is like some sex comedy and the girls are nude and blah, blah, blah. And then you're also going to learn about love. And that movie is going to stick with you for the rest of your life. And I have to say that because I've had so many people come up to me and here I was doing this film, and I thought, we never, all the people in it, we never thought that it would even be out, let alone, people watching it to this day and it is an iconic 80s film. It has 80s clothing, incredible 80s music, soundtrack. It's got 80s subject matter, drugs and like the cocaine and the abortion and the it's
like the epitome of the 80s. Yeah. It's got every aspect of the 80s. So, well, it's like you said, with the 80s, it's kind of double-edged sword in regards to Hollywood. Like, you get the rawness of a lot of situations, and that's kind of what this presented. I haven't seen the full movie, but I've seen parts of it, and like you're talking about, it really, they describe it as this sex comedy, so we're used to contemporary sort of things like that, so we have a more polished look at things, but this is more of a raw sort of take on it. It's very, definitely you're gonna learn some lessons. Yes.
It's interesting because and like you said, the movie was written and directed. And I always love when I have a writer-director. I'm working with a writer-director because they have the vision. If you got somebody who writes it and then they direct it, they see it in their mind what they want it to be. And when Boaz did the film, Boaz Davidson, he's a director-writer, it was based on his true life. And guys are, you're drawn, like, again, to see this movie, and it's called The Last American Virgin. So you're expecting it to be an American story, which, whether you realize it or not, you anticipate a happy ending. And when you see this ending, that's, I think, part of what rocks you, because it's not classically American. It's Israeli in the sense, it's like European, Israeli, like that. The thought is, this is life. This is
we're so used to the happy endings, and that's not really. I mean, it's kind of like your own take, one of those situations. Whereas most movies in the U.S., we want closure. Yeah,
closure, and, or we want, how do I fix this? You do it for me, But it's interesting to see a movie that now it's like, oh, okay, well, what if this happened to you? And did this happen to you? And that film was just, it's so beloved, and I love it so much because all of us who were in it, it was our first film, except for Steve, but he had like done just maybe movie with Jodie Foster. We maybe done 1 or 2 films before. So this was like, we were all virgins in the film world. I mean, we were literally, acting virgins. And we just, I think because it was all our first film, we bonded together as friends, and we really just worked really hard and wanted it to be really good. We took it to heart. It wasn't just like, oh, there's another movie. Plus, the other thing about that movie was it was the first film that had curly hair in it, and that's one of the reasons I wrote a book about this. Is my second book, which we'll talk about later, but I was the first actress to bring curly hair into the 80s. I wasn't the most popular, but I was the first. And that film, I did this film, nobody had curly hair. And it was a complete accident the way it happened. And I was shocked when they hired me with my curly hair and had me have it there. And after that film, I mean, I couldn't get a lead for anything. And then all of a sudden, after that film, I got lead after lead after lead because the look was in. And now it opened up the doors and it created Flashdance, and then it added ethnicity. I mean, it was the timing of that film coming in the early 80s that just kickstarted perms, the whole world. I was like, what? And I remember writing down in like a diary and going, and even like I had a press release for some of the films I did. I was like, this is definitely something that is a big deal, because I had been in the business for 10 years before, and no curly hair. I always had to straighten my hair. So it was, there's so many aspects to this film, except there's one thing this film doesn't have, because it's the early 80s. It doesn't have the 80s vernacular. It doesn't have the totally awesome, excellent. That's what Bill and Ted's had, because by the end of the 80s, people really spoke like that. But by the early 80s, they were creating the new world. I think it wasn't until like Valley Girl or something there that the vernacular came in. That's when all those words came in. But oh my gosh, just like, it's so exciting, and I feel I love that film. And at the beginning when it first came out, I was nervous because obviously I did nudity, and I was kind of like, I don't know if people just like me because I did the nudity. I mean, was I even really good? I knew that for me, I was good because I'm a very, like, you can tell I'm a pretty verbose person, but I was very shy, and like, I wouldn't, in that film, I had to really, like, I remember going for it. And Boaz saying to me, he did a first version of Lemon Popsicles, and in Israel, because Last American Virgin was a remake of Lemon Popsicle. And I saw Lemon Popsicles. I didn't see it, but I saw a clip from it. And it was supposed to be a crying scene when I get the abortion. And he showed me the scene, and I had this other interpretation of it. And when I saw it, I went, okay, I totally get this. I totally get this character. I know what you're looking for. So when I played the character, it was to be just the girl, like I could have been born in any time period. I could be in any world, time, place. I was just, and I don't mean, just a girl, but I mean just the girl, just the object of desire, and just like, he projects everything onto me, So I think it's a fascinating film, and it played at Lincoln Center like a couple of years ago. It's gotten a lot of people critique it a lot because it had really bad reviews when it first came out, and yet everybody, is affected by it. They're still today affected. So I think we're going to be talking about it in 20 years from now too, right?
Yeah, it sounds like, because I'm sure you've had your fair share of people who've come up to you and you're like, oh, I can't believe maybe more people than you've expected who still remember this movie. It's endearing to them, and things like that.
Who liked it? Brett Ratner loved it. He told me it affected his life, which is why I had asked him before all this has gone down for Brett, whatever, I'm not a part of this, but before it all happened, I asked him to write the foreword for my book, and he wrote about how it affected this Last American Virgin was basically his life, and how it affected my part in it. He was in love with my character. He was in love with me, and he dated Rebecca Gayheart and almost married her. In 13 years he dated her, and it was just like because of that film, because I think it affected him, and it's just interesting. I know who else. There was another person who's I was just like, even Savage Steve Holland. Savage Steve Holland saw Last American Virgin, and from that film brought me in on Better Off Dead. And you're thinking that was years later, and why? Like, there's nothing that's similar to Karen and Monique, but he just loved that film, and I guess that character was just something that he connected with. So yeah, you just never know when you do a film. Hopefully people remember it, and then years later maybe they call you back and ask you to be in a film.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how it works sometimes. And like you're saying, just a couple years later, it was like 1985 when Better Off Dead came out.
Yes.
And you were Monique, the French exchange student. So this is where you got to utilize the French accent. So was that something that you had coming in, or did you have to learn that for the role?
Well, first of all, I love the accent, and I love the speaking French, and I love Monique. I most like Monique as a person. I love the character, and what happened with that was I did a film before called Second Time Lucky, and I shot it in New Zealand, and it was the story of Adam and Eve through time. And I played a girl who I played all these different versions of Eve, and one of the characters I played, it started in Egyptian. It started in Greece, and Cleopatra and Caesar and like that kind of time period, and then it went into
so not your first. You have multiple time traveling movies,
right? Yeah, you're right. That was a time traveling movie. In fact, funny you say that because it's the 80s, right? So time traveling. Good point. And then one of the characters was sort of a Florence Nightingale-esque character, but she was French, and I played a French nurse, and there was a soldier, an English soldier. And so I got to practice my dialect, the French dialect, in this film. And I had always loved the dialects, but this was like a dream come true. That film, it was a sex comedy as well, but that film was so great because it got me to stretch as an actress, and I was able to play these different women. So when I came to America and I had the audition for Better Off Dead, I was extremely confident about playing the French character. And so when I went into the audition, Savage, he wanted to see me for Beth, and I guess, and Monique, but Beth, and he didn't even know I could do Monique. And I went in and I said, but I want to play Monique, and it would be nice if I could play Monique. Couldn't I play Monique? And so he was like, oh my gosh. He and producer Michael Jaffe were shocked that I could do this. And then he said, well, can we try it with a lisp? Because I want to maybe make her even cuter. And I said, all right, I will talk with a lisp and French accent with a lisp. And he's like, oh no, that's too much. Let's just keep it the regular way. And that was how it happened, which is, and it's such a great example, as an actress, you go and you connect with the character so much that you just are it, and then let other people, kind of work it the way they want to. And I'm the most proud of that role as a role model for women, because that film was it was like I could be strong and I could fix things and I could help him. But I didn't lose a sense of who I was in that film. And I think that's such an important thing to see. And I could be feminine, but I could also be masculine. And I just think it was, I just love that role. I mean, I don't know if I really do wonder, like, I used to think that I was going to be remembered for Better Off Dead. But now with all the other things happening, I don't know. We'll see, what I'll be remembered for. So.
I mean, you got a full plate of things to be remembered for. So it's you kind of have to pick each day. You're gonna have multiple people come up to you for different things. Right. I imagine.
Well, that's what's great about the internet now the web is okay. So people who are listening, you got to understand, when I was an actress, there was no way to have a movie, let alone watch it twice. Like, you had to watch things in the theater and you had to pay every time you watched it. And if it left the theater and you missed it, well, that was it. And so if you told me back in the 80s that someday the films I did, people are going to be able to watch it at home over and over again, whenever they wanted, whatever part they wanted, whatever, I would have been like, are you crazy? There's no way. Like, you can't even, have that, that doesn't even register. And so it is interesting for actors today to realize, we're so lucky that our work can be remembered, because so many of the actors before this internet generation happened, they never got to see that, their films could be shown again and again. And like, if we want to remember someone, like, I don't know, like Lucille Ball, like, people don't know who Lucille Ball is. And you're like, oh, how is that even possible? She had TV shows. She had, she was, iconic television character. Or even Elizabeth Taylor. I mean, like, just people who were just like, those names were just not even, everyone knew who they were. But now with the internet, that unless they're played again, or you find their material, at least luckily we can do that. But right now, what's amazing is people can watch it and they can meet me. I mean, they can like come to a convention or they can, go to like a screening, or if there's something, that I'm having a premiere, so people can come, and it's a moment in time. It's a really special time in history for actors.
It really is.
It
really is, and also for fans who are able to reach out and express their appreciation, or for people like me who have the platform to have people like yourself on to talk about and get to hear a few more things about some of the awesome movies or other things that we've enjoyed your performances in. So yeah, it's just like you said, it's a great time to be alive. It's for sure.
Thank you, and I am just so excited. And plus, like, I have kids, and I have a daughter who's 22 and a son who is 19. And my son is a classical musician and also plays in a band. It's called Swatches, in case you want to listen for it. Find it. His name is Nick De Laurentiis. And then my daughter, it's on Spotify. It's on Spotify. He just came out with his first album. I'm like, oh my God. But see, it's not his band really. It's his friend Gavin's band, but he plays the bass in it. But it's because he's like more focused on his classical playing. So he wants to play in symphony. But it's still, I'm very excited because he's got such a very cool life, and yay, like I love creativity, and I'm so happy for him. And my daughter is a filmmaker, and she is I've been in a lot of stuff with her, and she actually has some things happening, which I can't talk about, but they're very exciting. And she does comedy. And she also has a comedy partner named Sydney Heller, and they have a web series. So if you want to check out what my daughter's doing, they have a web series. Check under Barely Legal Comedy on YouTube.
Okay.
On YouTube, Barely Legal Comedy. Make sure you put the comedy in, because if you don't, you're gonna
Yes.
get porn. Okay, so don't do that, kids. All right. And so and they have a web series called Sugar Babies. Which also is not it's funny. It's not sexual, but it is sexual. It seems like it's going to be sexual, but it's hilarious. And they write, direct, act, and edit their own work. So they did 8 episodes, and that's on. But my daughter and I are now doing a YouTube channel. Is this funny? And we're playing. It's a YouTube channel called Live, as in Olivia, and Die, as in Diane, in LA. So if anybody wants to watch us, it's just mother-daughter stuff. It's pretty hilarious. She lets me, go on her Tinder and all this stuff. Pretty funny. And I'm learning about the internet as well. So, Live and Die in LA. It's on YouTube. And if you can't find it, then just follow me on Instagram and Twitter, Diane Franklin 80 on Twitter, and find me at Diane Franklin fans on Facebook, I guess. Yeah, because my other one got filled up. So anyway, and Diane, and my Instagram is actress Diane Franklin. So anyway, it's all so complicated. I don't know. Now it's like we're on a whole different level. So
no, I mean, I'm sure. And what do your kids think, having with their mom?
Oh yeah.
Now probably getting more recognized more and more, especially with the internet and social media, like all these things about your earlier work.
Okay, here's the deal. So I am obsessed with my kids. My husband and I are obsessed with our kids. We raised our kids. Then what happened was now they're adults, like they're grown up, like they're, so in order for me not to drive them crazy, because I adore them and ask them questions every 2 minutes, because, moms do that. I mean, seriously, it's not that we, don't have other things, but we just adore them. But in order, so what I did is I took all that energy and I put it towards acting. And what happens? I start getting acting work and one after another. I mean, things are happening. So it's been very good because my kids are watching things and they're going, oh my gosh, Mom, how are you doing this? And wow, this is amazing. And it's because I said, because how much I love you. I just love you so much. And I took this energy of love and I'm just putting it towards my career and my work. And this is what you get. So it's exciting. They are very, I think it's really, they're very happy to see what I'm doing, but they know that they're more important. And I think that's really the difference. You know what I mean? Like, something happens, I'm like, okay, you come first. Everything drops, But it is exciting. If you told me again that my kids would see me act as an adult, I would be like, what? That's not even, what are you talking about? How is that even possible? But now with the Amityville movie coming out, it's coming out digital November 13th. And before that, it's going to screen at theaters. I don't know about when the theater is, when it's going to come out in theaters, but I do know that there's going to be and I can't say where or when, but it's going to be a film festival on October 11th.
So many secrets, but we're gonna reveal these secrets
don't
someday.
Tell anybody, except for me and you all, thousands of people. So that film was special. Again, I played the daughter in Amityville 2, The Possession, in 1983 or 82. And the director who had seen me in that film when he was a kid, at 12 years old, I think, I don't know what's going on with these parents, remembered me and called me specifically and offered me the part of Louise DeFeo. And now I play the mother in this Amityville Murders. And you can go online.
So he just remembered from all those years. He's like, what? She'd be perfect for the mom.
Oh my gosh. I mean, what a gift. Like, I, again, was so I burst into tears when he called and asked me to do that, because I've always wanted to play a character that was real. And I knew that I could do a kick-ass job. I just knew. And I thought, okay, because, as at my age, as an older woman, big roles are not, there haven't been a lot of, big roles out there for women, except sometimes in horror. And I thought if I want a good dramatic and juicy role, because I've done a lot of comedy for my daughter, I said, where can I get the drama? And I went, horror, this would be great. And when he offered me this part, and it's a great part, I was like, yes, I would love to do it. And what was so wonderful about it was, over the years, I've done a couple of films, so I was warmed up. And then when this came, my character, I am unrecognizable, like, not just look-wise. Like, you will watch this, and when I saw it, I did not recognize myself. When my family saw it, they went, oh my gosh, Mom, you are kick-ass. Like, they could not believe don't seem like myself at all. So it's, to me, the best acting job I've done in my life. Like, it's crazy.
You're setting the tone for at home too, so they're not going to mess with you maybe as much.
Really?
Well, also we'll have to get the information when that's ready to be released, or when that we get some more information on other things about that. Well, so excited.
Here's the thing: in the next couple of weeks, they're going to within the next week, because the publicist has been working on another project. I think it's going to come, and it's going to be hard and heavy. So if you're an Amityville fan, definitely, check, find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and follow me, because that's where I will let everyone know the information that I find out as soon as I do.
Perfect. Yeah,
So-
we'll definitely look. Like I said, we got a couple secrets that we're going to keep an eye on.
Nice.
And see, we get some announcements here before too long. Well, then, before we close things up here, one last thing I want to get into is that in 2012 you did you published your memoir, and you've done another book since. Is that correct?
Yes, and they are both autobiographies. The first one is If You Don't Know Who I Am, and this is why I did the book, because I thought there are people out there who have no idea who I am, what I am, but I acted at such a young age, and I acted my whole life, and I thought this would be very interesting for people who don't know anything about the 80s, and they don't know, and they liked acting, and they liked the 80s films. So my first book is called Diane Franklin, The Excellent Adventures of the Last American French Exchange Babe of the 80s.
Such an excellent title. I love it.
And that, it just brings a smile to your face when you say it, so you already set the tone. And it's a really cool 8x10, like coffee table type of book, and it's just fun, but it's also informative. You will not be disappointed. People love the book, and then people bring it to conventions, and I sign it. So if you buy it, I will sign it for free. So that's another thing. But then once I wrote that book, then what happened was all of a sudden I started to realize again that I had done Last American Virgin, and I was the first actress with curly hair, and I thought, you know what, that is another big piece of information. So my second book really focuses more on Virgin. There are a lot of pictures from the other films I did, Better Off Dead, but it sort of talks about how curly hair went from being undesirable in the entertainment business to being beautiful, because that was something you would never say someone with curly hair was beautiful. They were the frumpy girl, or the girl who had the, in a story, they were the, the girl who didn't get the guy, and I'm not talking about like curl hairs with curlers in it. I'm talking about really tight curly hair. And so I was so happy that happened, because now in the world, it's just your preference. Girls can have straight hair, they can have curly hair. Guys like both, and that's the beauty of it. So that was maybe more of my thing about that second book. So it's a great book for history, and also so many cool pictures, and just you won't be disappointed. And then I'm going to do a third book. And the third book,
trilogy. We got the trilogy coming up.
The third book, I might even have to wind up doing 4 having to do with Amityville. But now the next book is going to be an ode to Better Off Dead. And
okay, nice.
The reason why is because that film has made so many people so happy. And what happens is I have the coat from the film, and so whenever I go to a convention, I bring the coat. And so if people want to try it on and they get a picture taken, over the years, like maybe over the last 5 years or 6 years, people have worn the coat. So I said, what if I made a book where I put that coat has united everyone. Everyone who loves this movie has worn this coat. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to make a book and put every person who ever loved this book, this coat, in this book, and then also have special section for Savage. Steve Holland is on it, and it's just a love fest. So I'm going to see about making my next this book, The Excellent Coat of the Last American French Exchange Baby.
Well, it sounds like you're turning this coat into the ruby red slippers of the new age. That it's gonna be the commemorative thing to try on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what's great is guys can wear it, girls can wear it, and that's why I think it is such a fun piece. So, but never. Who knows? Maybe I have to do an Amityville tribute book or a Bill and Ted's eventually. We'll see.
Keep them coming.
Yeah.
You sound like you got plenty of things to write about that are coming up. So
great.
Yeah, keep the books coming. So where can they find the books online and bookshelves as well?
You can get both my books on Amazon, Amazon Prime, and BarnesandNoble.com. And just stay. I just highly recommend people just connecting with me. Join my website. I have so many fun things. I post my daughter's films too. She's brilliant, so funny. And who knows? My career is what's there's many things happening. I'm just watching.
That's the beauty of it nowadays. You never know, and that's really the beauty, is you never know, and you can stay optimistic. Then the next awesome thing will come up.
Yeah. Well, with friends like you, with people like you, I know.
Well, thank you so much.
That means the world to me. That you know who I am. This is something that I would never expect, and so I'm honored that you're a fan and you like my work and that you remember me. But wow, that's amazing. So
well, of course. Well, again, well, thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And so we talked about you have some YouTube stuff coming up. Working. What are some other the books, the YouTube? What are some other things real quick that you have coming up that people can be on the lookout for? And also potential Bill and Ted 3 appearance
Bill and Ted 3, Amityville Murders for sure. You can go online and see the trailer. There's an HD trailer that's out right now, and I'm in the trailer, but you don't really get to see the extent of what I'm doing in the film until you watch it. Whoa, you're gonna be. It's so
you get
good.
to see the real badass in the film, right? Is that where it comes from? Okay.
Amazing. I also did a film called The Final Interview. It is now it is over the Halloween time. It's in a film festival in Ohio. So if you're in Ohio, look for The Final Interview at a film fest. And I think it's called 13 Films or something. I forgot the name of the film fest, but I knew it's in Ohio. And then I did another film, Waking Nightmare, which I'm waiting for. I don't know when. It was supposed to come out this year, but I don't know what happened. And sometimes these films, they, lose financing, or they, people get busy. So, but the girl who, there's a girl named Shelley Regner, and she plays my daughter. And she was in Pitch Perfect. She's in the Pitch Perfect movies. She plays
cool.
one of the Bellas. And let me see what else. And then again, and then I did a documentary that's going to come out next year, and I may be going through HBO. So we'll see about that. You'll find out. That's going to be very interesting too. So
yes, that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
So you sound like you got quite a few things online, so that's awesome. So we'll just have to stay in touch and make sure we get those things promoted so everybody else can follow along and start watching and listening to all the cool stuff you got coming up.
You're so nice. So thank you. And again, anybody who's listening, I just want you to know that I'm sort of like the quiet before the storm. Like, I mean, I'm doing all these things and like sometimes like, there's sometimes like if people are like A-listed or something, they're sort of locked down into contracts with certain people and they can't do certain things they can't do. And I'm sort of been an independent spirit. So when you see something from me, it's like, it's special. Like I'm not, I gotta say, like,
you're not just blowing smoke. There's something happening.
Yeah. And it's also, and I play characters that because I like them, because they're cool, not because, it's sort of like you have to, I mean, I know. I forgot even to tell you this. I'm playing a medium in this week, at the end of the week. I have not end of the week, on Sunday, I'm playing a medium in a film, in an action horror film called No Respect for the Living. Isn't that funny? So here's another thing. I'm so busy.
There you go. It just keeps going. That is awesome.
So there should be a lot of fun things. And I just feel a real responsibility to make everybody who watches my work feel like they got their money's worth and they have a good time. And I think you will. So,
well, you're doing a great job so far. So, well, lastly, Diane, let the listeners know again. You said earlier, but let them know where they can follow you real quick, so they can keep updated on everything.
Sure. Twitter, it's Diane Franklin 80. Facebook, it's Diane Franklin Fans, and that will be under the group section because my other Facebook is full. So if you go to the other one, that's me.
Look at you being all popular
and
stuff.
Right? Like what? I don't know. I mean, when Amityville hits, I'm afraid that if it gets into the millions, I'm going to be freaking out. So just know, Diane's freaking out.
Hey,
that would be
we'll stay updated on the freak out. We'll keep everybody updated on the freak out session.
Okay, good. And then and then Instagram is at actress Diane Franklin, and then you'll see official Facebook. So I post really cool things. I post a lot of nostalgia. I post updated things too, and dramatic and funny and just a good time. And I love the 80s. I think I'm glad whoever watches it. Oh, and one more thing. Can you believe this? I have actually one more thing. In November, I'm going to be at an event called 80s in the Sand. And I don't know if rooms are still available, but it is a vacation at a beautiful resort called Breathless in Punta Cana. And what it is that they have 80s bands. And like last year we had Berlin and the Motels. And then I went with Amanda Wyss and Curtis, and we signed autographs. So they have 80s actors and 80s musicians, or people who were popular in the 80s, be there. And this year, like, they have like the Romantics, and they have, oh my gosh, like I think that Berlin is coming back, I think. And they have Flock of Seagulls, and it's great. So if you're interested, check out 80s in the Sands as well. And I'll be there in November. So I'll have photos and books, and I'll sign for you, and we'll have a blast. It's beautiful. It's an incredible vacation, by the way. Like everything's included: food, drinks. The beach is stunning. I'm going back again because it was so great last year.
You are blowing my mind right now. I have never heard of this before, and I'm listening to you. I'm like, I got to start Googling this. I need to start writing this down.
You will go crazy, and honestly, it is the greatest thing. I brought my daughter last time, and she wants to go back. Like, she's threatening, like, my husband, like, I'm going again. Like, she was like, I had the best time. And the bands play, and you are right there. Howard Jones played last time, and I was like, right, like to get to know you well, dancing in my coat right in front of through the audience, and then through the audience. I mean, it was a blast. It was fabulous. So
they might just gain one more fan out there, because that's the awesomest thing I've heard in a while.
Right?
that exists. Yeah. So we'll definitely find the links and get that down there for those who want to join in. So well, Diane, again, thank you so much for taking the time. I honestly cannot thank you enough.
You're welcome. Merci buckets, and au revoir.
Is all like that's all I got. That's the extent. I'm sorry. I'm ashamed of myself. but for everyone else, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Be Kind and Rewind podcast. Make sure you tune in every Throwback Thursdays for new episodes of the podcast. Subscribe, like, and follow, and rate the podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, Spreaker, YouTube, and Infirmary Media Podcast Network. Also, follow the podcast on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Be Kind Rewind Pod for all of your nostalgic needs. So thanks, and be excellent to each other.
And now, a word from
Infirmary Media.